Hey guys, I am Amir Saodat and this is Channel FM. Every week, we have got a brand new awesome story podcast for you. So sit back, hit play, and let's dive in together. Welcome back to Shadows of New York, a crime drama podcast novel set beneath neon lights and endless rain. I'm glad you're here with me tonight. Settle in, breathe deep, and follow the sounds of the city. Chapter 1 begins now. The Body in the Rain. The Body in the Rain. The rain arrived before the police lights did, thin needles stitching the night together, turning the alley of 11th Avenue into a glistening scar. The city seemed to hold its breath, and in that breath, the truth waited, wet, cold, and unblinking. Detective Michael Reid stepped under the yellow tape and felt the familiar weight of the job settle on his shoulders. The alley smelled of copper and old oil. A single dumpster leaned sideways like a slumped giant. Graffiti dripping in blues and reds. The body lay half hidden by a cardboard shroud that the rain was trying to claim. Female, the uniform said, voice flat. No ID, mid-30s maybe. Michael crouched. The woman's hair was dark and slick to her skin. Her coat expensive but practical. Shoes polished. Nails clipped clean. Not a tourist, not from the alley. Someone who belonged to a tax bracket where strangers opened doors for you and the concierge knew your dog's name. He swallowed a knot in his throat. Cause of death? Single puncture under the ribs. No struggle, not that we can see. A tiny black shape sat on the victim's palm, placed with care. A rook from chess set, lacquered black, water beading on the crown. Michael stared at it. Who leaves a chess piece? The uniform shrugged. Someone who wants to be clever. Or someone keeping score, Michael murmured. A camera flashed, lightning without thunder. The tech dusted carefully. Rain fighting for territory. Michael slipped on gloves and examined the pockets. Empty, but for lint and a paper fiber. Half melted by the rain. A sliver of card with a ghost of a gold edge, as if torn from a luxury business card. Back this, he said, passing it to the tech. His eyes drifted to the mouth of the alley. Out there, taxis hissed by. Rain cut neon into ribbons, and the city pretended it didn't see. He rose, the rook still on the woman's hand. A signature. A promise, or a dare. Across the river, Jessica Clark stood beneath the electric glare of the Times Square, raincoat cinched tight, a voice recorder warm in her pocket, news vans fought for curb space. A ripple had passed through the city's rumors, male police activity in the meatpacking district. Unconfirmed, she would follow the whisper like a thread in the dark. She knew the tempo of the city's panic. At first, denial, then fascination, then a hunger for answers that would chew up anyone who failed to deliver. Jessica had learned to feed that hunger without letting it devour her. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Clark, she said. A male voice, roughened at the edge. 11th and 34th, alley behind a diner called Kettle and Steam. You didn't hear it from me. She smirked. You always say that. You always show up, the man said, and hung up. Jessica flicked her hood up and moved. The crowd swallowed her. The billboards threw rainbows across her path. She was good at moving unseen in a place designed to be seen. Truth was a door. She was the key. She headed downtown, following the scent of a story that felt like a storm. On the Upper East Side, Daniel Morse watched raindrops come through the city from the comfort of his corner office. His reflection hovered over Manhattan, tie perfect, hair immaculate, a man whose life looked like a well-pressed lie. A case file lay open on his desk, its edge foxed by handling and worry. Inside, invoices, wire transfers, the tidy trail of money that had crawled from legitimate accounts into the places where light couldn't follow. He should have turned it down. It didn't. Men like him never turned down anything until something turned them down for good. His phone vibrated. A message blinked without sender. Rook. Then a second. We'll talk soon. No number. No signature. Daniel stood very still, as if movement might expose him. He knew the name as a rumor, an urban legend told in courthouse bathrooms and behind the clink of crystal at private bars. A ghost who made deals. Strategist who treated lives like pieces on a board. The rook. He exhaled slowly. Rain threaded his view of the city, and he felt, for the first time in months, the chill of being watched. In Queens, Tommy Rivera waited beneath the shaking neon of a shuttered bodega. He checked his watch, though he didn't know what time he was waiting for. Only that someone would come and someone would leave, and the night would add another tally to his ledger of good luck gone bad. A car rolled up, dark and gleaming like an insect. Two figures stepped out, silhouettes with money in their pockets or guns at their backs. Maybe both. You, Tommy? The taller one said. Depends who's asking. The kind of guy who doesn't repeat himself. Tommy's grin was more reflex than joy. He handed over a small package, sealed and taped with care. The taller man weighted it, nodded. The shorter one kept his hands in his coat, eyes roaming the street like dogs sniffing for trouble. Payment? Tommy said. Soon, the taller one replied. There is a bigger favor first. Tommy's throat went dry. Favors were knives wrapped in handshakes. I'm not a charity. The tall man smirked. No, you're a courier, and couriers carry messages. He stepped closer, breath sour and intimate. Ever heard of the rook? Tommy lied, because lying felt safer. No. You will. The man slid a card into Tommy's hoodie pocket, patted it twice, and stepped back into the car. The insect poured away, leaving gasoline in the air, a new kind of rain in Tommy's gut. He pulled the card out. Black, matte, heavy, no writing, only a tiny embossed rook in the corner, so dark you only saw it when the light decided to offer mercy. He thought of throwing it away, then thought of the people who would notice. He tucked it back into his pocket and swallowed. Just one more score, he said to nobody. Then I'm out. The street didn't answer. The rain did. Michael stood in the alley, the rook on the dead woman's palm like a thesis statement. He knew patterns. He knew cycles. Killers were composers. The city was their orchestra. The piece had a strange elegance he didn't like. Detective? The tech approached. Voice careful. We got a partial from the paper fragment. Embossed gold on white stock. Looks like from a premium card. Probably a luxury hotel. Maybe Conrad Midtown or the Carlton. Run both, Michael said. And there's this. The tech held up a small transparent evidence bag. Inside, a smear beneath the rain's dilution. Saffron-colored powder. Cut it in the seam of the victim's coat. It clung like an afterthought. Michael frowned. Spice? Maybe. Not local. Not in an alley like this. Michael looked at the rook again. Rain stitched tiny silver lines across its crown. Someone wanted us to see them as clever, he murmured. But clever people step in their own paint. He stared down the alley's throat where the city waited, patient, hungry. Jessica found the tape before she found the body. A uniform tried to move her back with the edge of a palm. She introduced herself, a chess move of credential and charm. Detective Reid? She called, catching Michael as he turned. Clark. Tribune. Talk to me. Talk to the press liaison, he said, and turned back, which was as good as a handshake in Michael's grammar. She studied him, the kind of tired that didn't come from one long night, but from a long life. What's with the chess piece? She asked lightly, testing, casting a line. What chess piece? He said, too quickly. She smiled without showing teeth. Cute. They watched the rain paint the alley together. Strangers sharing an umbrella they didn't bother to open. Jessica clicked on her recorder, not to catch a coach, but to save the sound of this place. She believed in the sound the way some people believed in gods. Detective, she said, softer. Who is she? We don't know. He nodded toward the half-melted paper. We know she's not from here. None of us are, Jessica said, and the detective gave her half a look. Enough to say he had heard her, not enough to say he agreed. A stretcher waited. The rook glistened. Don't print the chess, Michael said finally. Not yet. Why? Because if the killer cares about being seen, we don't feed him. Jessica's eyes sharpened. Him? Michael didn't answer. The rain did. At 77th and Madison, a private bar gathered men who mispronounced the word conscience. Daniel Morse sat opposite a client whose watch could buy a car and whose smile could dissolve lawsuits. They talked about market pressure and compliance burdens in the same tone you might talk about the weather. And when the waiter left the receipts, the client slid Daniel a folded note. Daniel opened it. A chess rook drawn in 2 strokes. Efficient, almost elegant. Beneath it, 1 word. Soon. His mouth dried. Is this a joke? The client shrugged. I assumed you left it. People say you have. Creative ways of making problems go away. I don't. Daniel pocketed the note. The room suddenly felt overlit, as if the chandeliers had teeth. He excused himself, walked to the restroom, and splashed water on his face until the mirror gave him back a version he recognized. His phone buzzed. Another blocked message. The game begins when the board is wet. Outside, rain lashed the city's skin. The board was very wet. Back in Queens, Tommy cut down a narrow alley behind a Dominican restaurant. The exhaust rich with cumin and saffron, the air perforated by the hiss of rain on hot metal. Chef voices collided with laughter, then split. One voice going quiet, too quiet. Thomas, a man said from the shadow of a service door. The accent rounded the name. You got something for me? Tommy's hand went inside his hoodie, fingers around the card. Not the package, depends who's asking. A third voice came from the darkness. Smooth, careful, people who don't repeat themselves. Tommy froze, the sound of chess pieces in motion. Even though there were no pieces, the rook in his pocket seemed to get heavier. His heart beat a little faster. I'm done for tonight. Not yet, the voice said. Carry a message. Tommy swallowed. To who? To a detective who forgets to sleep, the voice said. To a reporter who won't stop opening doors. To a lawyer whose masks are running out. How am I supposed to? New York is small at night, the voice said, almost tender. Go. The service door sneaked shut. The rain swallowed the sound whole. Near midnight, the ME van took the woman away, and the alley returned to being a cot between lives. Michael stood with his hands in his coat, mind sifting. The rook mattered, the saffron mattered, the gold-edged card mattered. Together, they made a shape he couldn't quite see, like a drawing in fog. His phone lit up. Unknown number. He answered without speaking. Detective Reid, a calm voice said, genderless, in the way of good disguises. You have a piece of mine. Michael looked at the empty hand where the rook had been. We have a murder, if that's what you mean. You have a piece, the voice repeated. Keeping, I'll win it back. Michael felt the smile through the line. Who are you? Someone who makes better use of the rain than you do, the voice said. Good night, detective. The line died. Michael listened to the dial tone until it blended with the rain and became part of the city's noise. He looked up. Across the tape, Jessica stood, soaked, relentless. You get a call? She asked. Wrong number, he said. Sure, she replied and tucked a wet strand of hair behind her ear. Go home, Clark, Michael said. There will be another body tomorrow. I'm counting on it, she said. And even the rain seemed to wince. Michael started walking, and the city opened its arteries to let him through. Two hours later, Jessica sat at her kitchen table in a small apartment near Hell's Kitchen, fingers moving over keys, building a story without the one detail that would make it go viral. She'd kept the chess piece to herself. For now, the rain tapped the window like a persistent editor. She paused, listened. The city's heartbeat was a metronome of sirens, wheels, and distant arguments. Her phone buzzed. A single photo arrived from an unlisted source. The woman's face, taken earlier that evening in the lobby of the Carlton. She was alive in the photo, phone in hand, smiling a little as if someone had just told her a secret. In the corner of the frame, a blur of black, like a rook poised to move. There was also a second photo, a business card with a gold edge and a name smeared by rain. She magnified, eyes tightening. The letters then held their ground. It could mean 100 men. It could mean one. She typed a single line into her notes. Who is Daniel to the dead? On the Upper East Side, Daniel returned to his building with a feeling that the doorman's smile had been replaced with a barbed wire fence. He rode the elevator alone, the mirror giving him back a man who was not aging well in the last 10 minutes. When the doors opened, a small white envelope lay on the floor outside his apartment. No footprints. No drop of rain. Inside, a chest rook carved from the black wood, heavier than it looked, and a line on a note card. Soon. Daniel closed his door and slid the deadbolt. He put the rook on his desk, and for reasons he couldn't explain, turned it to face the window. Tommy caught the last train back to his part of Queens, card in pocket, mouth dry, eyes gone wide enough to see the edge of decisions. He sat opposite a woman sleeping with her head against the window and thought about disappearing. Florida, maybe, Arizona, someplace where rain had different manners. He imagined stepping off a bus and becoming a person with a new last name. The car rocked, lights flickered. A man in a dark coat sat 2 seats down, face buried in a newspaper nobody bought anymore. When the doors opened at his stop, Tommy stood, turned, and the man lowered the paper, revealing a face as forgettable as a spur button. The man smiled, just enough. Tommy got off the train and the man didn't follow. That felt so much worse. The night stretched. Rain applauded something Tommy couldn't see. Michael slept in his chair, coat thrown across him like a promise he couldn't keep. The rook sat on his kitchen table, and he dreamed of boards and pieces, of rules he had never liked playing by. He woke before dawn to the sound of his phone arguing with the dark. Another body, another alley, another rook. Same rain, and somewhere beyond all the city's eyes, a careful hand reached out and nudged a piece forward, one square at a time. Thanks for listening to Chapter 1 of Shadows of New York. If this pulled you into the rain, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. We drop 1 episode every week, so turn on notifications and come back for the next chapter, because the board is set and the pieces are already moving. Until the next time, stay in the dark.